Hey, everybody, welcome back to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking to Tony Chiappetta, right? We've practiced that right before. You said I had to have the hand. He's the CEO of a California-based advanced microcomputing concepts, AMC Modern IT, amcsolutions.com. You know, basically what you do, as we talked about, you make people more productive at work so they can get more out of life. And I love that. And so I want to dive into that. I think IT is something that people are so terrified of, right? And so how do you, and everybody wants to be more productive. We all want to have more time and make more money. So I really want to kind of zoom into this. How do you make people more productive, Tony?
Just dive right in, John. I love how you just cut right to it. So big fan of less is more. Have less stuff, do more with it.
Yeah.
So for us personally, we are Microsoft centric. Like we just got rid of all the other stuff and found we can do everything we need within one platform, which people, nobody ever really called to thank me and called me and said, hey, my network's fine today, but thanks for monitoring it.
Yeah.
I don't need any backups today, but I really appreciate you checking every single one of my hard drives. Every day. But if I showed somebody how to do something that was like, oh my gosh, that would have saved me so much time if I knew that 6 months ago.
Right.
But now I know that, like, that gives me a thrill. And so our concept is simple. Have less stuff. Use all of the people move their mail to Microsoft 365 and they stop. We're showing them how to move everything they can into one place. Move your files in the most secure, sophisticated file server on the planet using Microsoft Teams. Move your phones. And so as we do that, we found when you have one thing, you can actually start training people.
Yeah.
And that's really the chasm, John.
Yeah.
As IT, we've been trained to don't disrupt people, but the benefit comes from the disruption. As long as we can have human interaction and make it fun and exciting for people, it works out well. And so that's what we do.
I love that. I love the book by Jeffrey Moore. I read it, I think 25 years ago, Crossing the Chasm. And so, it's all about people adopting either early, kind of middle of the road, or late in the game. But I want to go back for a minute, and I want to talk about less is more and putting things, like you said, in one place, but really focusing on using what's there for you. I find that most people don't use what they have, or they don't know how to use it. I'm a big fan as a business coach of doing things in small increments. So if you need to learn something new, spend 5 minutes a day, spend 3 minutes a day, spend X amount of minutes a day, and it can be very small, to learn something new, because for every 4 minutes a day that we save, we're saving 24 hours a year. And so when it comes to technology, especially what you're doing, I love what you do. I used to be in the internet business, more in the selling the websites, but still saving time in e-commerce. And so, talk about how many minutes can be saved, because those minutes equate to hours, equate to days, equate to months and years. And that's how companies accelerate and get ahead.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you save just 3 minutes a day, right? Because you can take a little snippet, and with the advancements in AI, training systems can tell what you know and what you don't know.
Yeah.
Now. And they can fine tune and say, you know what, you're going to have an impact on this. If your goal is to have better task management or time management or better collaboration, here's something you don't know that's going to rock your world. Here's a 3-minute video. And so it makes it really easy to do that. But I know that if our clients do business with us, our stats show you're going to save 4 hours per person per week. And that's before.
Say that again.
4 hours per person per week.
That's what you're saying. You show by utilizing when you come in and you fix a company, you're saving 4 hours per person per week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 16 hours a month. That's basically 192 hours a year per person, right? Divided by, so that's almost 5 weeks. So basically you're adding 5 weeks to each person.
For every 10 people on your staff, you get a free one.
Yeah.
And that's before you start leveraging some of the really cool capabilities once you're standardized and automating these mundane tasks that drive people crazy, that within Microsoft's platform, it can record your screen, recognize what you do, turn it into a script. You hit play.
Yeah.
It'll automate that task for you. I start getting passionate about this stuff, John. I don't want to get into the weeds of it.
Yeah.
Like a rabbit hole for me. I'm obsessed, but
no, I love it. But I want to talk about, the only constant in life is change, and people don't like to change. And even people have a hard time transitioning from one thing and one way to another way. And so what's the secret? What do you propose when you're working with companies on how they implement the change? And I find that most companies don't invest long-term in the day-to-day consistent training of their people. So they'll launch something, but then they kind of spot train, like once a month or once a quarter, but really kind of doing these, what I would call kind of very USA Today, simple daily trainings that get people moving every day, right? It's uncomfortable, but what do you suggest companies do when they're working with you?
So you hit it on the head. You don't want to, incremental change is key. You don't want to just rip everything out and flip it around. Right. Because the people there was people that were in the old system that were highly successful, right? They're going to resist a change from what they're doing something really well at. For us, the key has been to make the change very similar to their current experience, and then show them how to unlock new capabilities that make their life easier, to the point where they get that, I didn't know I couldn't do that before. I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah.
And they get excited. And once people don't want to think about IT, we're so used to saying, oh, you're going to get ransomware. You should be scared. You should do this. And you should pay me for this stuff. IT should be about getting people excited about how they can have a better life experience. Yeah.
No, I love that. I want to go back, diving into the experience element of things. You talked earlier about a 3-minute video. A 3-minute video on TikTok goes a lot faster than a 3-minute video showing you how to change and do something different with IT. And so how do you make a 3-minute or a 2-minute IT how-to video something that people can connect with and basically see change by the time they're done watching it?
So for us, there's a difference between making a video. If I make a video, I want to explain the problem, the business or life problem that this solves up front, explain the problem and the challenges that it creates for you, and then here's a solution that's quick and easy. As we dive into doing what we do and getting people to adopt the new technology and the new capabilities, this to transform how they work, we actually have learning systems that are designed to understand how, not just what people don't know, but how they learn. Is it a video? Is it a checklist? Is it a story? Is it humorous? And based on that, we could tell what people start using after they consume one type or the other. And then we start feeding them their learning style on the stuff that they don't know. So there's actually a ton of intelligence involved with it. And it's part of the platforms that we use to help people fully enable. And we're held responsible too. We say track and trend our impact, because we'll show you the utilization start going up over time.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, just go back into the quantifying of the 4 hours per person per week. I mean, that's unbelievable. I do want to talk about, you talked about ransomware and security. There's lots of talks all the time, specifically as of late on the news about, the importance of security. How should companies from an IT perspective be thinking about security? What's the biggest miss?
The biggest miss is using these technologies from 20 years ago. Using servers, using VPNs. That's how the Colonial Pipeline attack happened, was through a VPN hack, actually.
Yeah.
As you modernize your approach and get rid of cloud, or out of servers and into cloud services, instead of having a file server that's very ransomware prone that you really can't protect, use a cloud service that has all of the technology around it to offer that protection with a click of a button. And so if a ransomware happens on a cloud service, artificial intelligence will automatically detect that something nefarious is going on, stop it, roll it back, identify the device that created the issue, and then block it from accessing data as it automatically cleans it.
Yeah.
It's insane. And it's all stuff that I can't do if I'm using the 1996 Windows Server technology or the server technology. And so you really got to change and shift your approach from how you've been doing things in the past and modernize the methodology to get out of that. To go from staying awake every night, John, to I click a button and our clients don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And everything you're talking about has allowed you to build a global company, and you work with companies all over between 20 and 500 employees.
Yeah. And as we've further defined what we do to be more exclusive to the Microsoft cloud services and really honed in what we do, when we do less, we're actually able to take on clients that are larger too. So we're getting into spaces that are much larger than 500 now because we are just focusing on this one area that we are superstars at.
Yeah, I love it. All right, now let's rewind a little bit. The year's 2000. You're 2 years after graduating University of Southern California, and you leave the corporate world, pick up a Yellow Pages, and start your business. So talk about just the jump, the leap, the courage, because I think a lot of people in today's world, as we sit here 21 years later, not that people don't think like that often, but I think post-pandemic, they're thinking about it a little bit more often. And so talk a little bit about your, the 1 minute Reader's Digest version of that experience and why you decided to kind of jump in and the resilience and tenacity it took.
I wasn't happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know I wasn't happy until over and over and over again, I started having long conversations with my sister at the time. And she's like, "See, you're kind of miserable." And then it was a light bulb and I had to make a change. And I knew that I had to chase something that brought happiness.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was, but I believed, and I had this skill set that I enjoyed doing. So I just started calling people in the Yellow Pages and getting rejected over and over and over again, and just believed that I could.
Yeah.
There's no reason that separates me or you from anybody else other than you believe you can.
Yeah. Who planted that seed in you, rewind another 20 years to even make you think like that?
I couldn't tell you, John. I didn't have I came from, my father was, he worked for corporations his whole life, was not pumped up on me doing that. And leaving the safety net of that. I didn't have any guidance or inspiration. In fact, I had guidance to stay and get a corporate job. And I just felt like there's no, if anybody else in the world could do it, why not? Well,
yeah.
Why not me? Why not try? And what's the worst that happens?
I love what you're talking about, because what you're talking about is tapping into ignoring the voices in your head and getting in touch with your own instincts, your own level of awareness, your own intuitiveness, your own path that your soul is on, not necessarily a narrative that you were, raised in. And so I think that takes a lot of, I think that makes it even harder, right, to take that first next step. And so what advice would you give to somebody who's in those exact shoes?
Those voices are mean, to your point, John.
Yeah, they can be intense.
And that's the ego. The ego's a maniac.
Yeah.
It's nuts. And so I would say, why not you?
Yeah.
What's stopping you? What really is stopping you? And if you look back at your life, 60 years, 40 years, whatever, and say you had this defining moment, put it in that perspective. Did you give it your best? Did you try? And there's no reason why not?
Yeah.
You.
What was your defining moment?
That made me transition?
Yeah.
I just had enough.
Yeah.
I just got to the point where I was up late working every night. I didn't feel appreciated. I would be up till 2 a.m. fixing something technical. I'd come in at like 8:15, and my boss, and he wouldn't know what I was doing. And I wasn't doing a great job of explaining it to him either, to his like, and he'd be like, we start at 8 o'clock, not 8:15. And I'd be like, I just,
yeah. You know, to me, I'm curious about something. You know, if you just rewind for a little bit, and before you left that business to start your own business and start this path and this journey, if your boss had come to you and said, "Hey, if this scenario happened, I'm still not going to make you feel appreciated, but I'll give you $50,000 to $100,000 more a year," what would you do?
In my early 20s, I would have been like, yeah, that sounds great. And it would have postponed, looking back, this version of me would say, don't do it.
Yeah. Why?
Because $50,000 to $100,000 isn't going to give me the true happiness. Now, if he said, hey, I want to put you in a spot where we identify what your gifts are and what your talents are, and I want to really lay those out so you can have a huge impact on this organization and thusly transcend elsewhere, I would have probably stayed.
Right. Really seen you. And the reason I asked the question is because what I see, I'm a business coach. I work with solopreneurs to Fortune 100 companies and everything in between. And what I see, what I share with my clients, what I hear from people is well, first of all, people leave managers, not companies. People leave bad cultures. And one of the reasons they leave is because they don't feel appreciated. They don't understand and aren't told how what they're doing, A, matters, and B, how it fits within the vision of a company. And so no money amount can really heal that, right? It can, like you said, postpone it, but then you're postponing it for, turnover, and they're going to take the call from the recruiter, and they're going to leave the job for $5,000 more because they're going to feel like in the next job or in their own company they'll feel more appreciated. So saying thank you and being grateful, letting people know they matter, it is so critical, especially more so today as we sit here in 2021 post-pandemic. People want to feel more connected and like they are appreciated. And all it takes is a thank you and good management. I just want to talk about this because having great managers, I work with a lot of managers all over the world, and a lot of them have great potential, but they were hired because they were good at their job, not because they know how to manage people, and then they are untrained. So I train CEO, I coach CEOs, C-level execs, owners, salespeople, and a lot of managers, teaching them how to manage people, because it is an art and a science that most people aren't familiar with. And so, and I just funnel this back to your comments of you have to make your people feel appreciated and not taken advantage of.
So that actually is what led to our transition from a very reactive, chaotic company, is bringing in somebody that was non-technical to take over operations and management and expose how we never had that. We had engineers that we promoted instead of true management. I will say that if we could take it a step further from my experience, and I'd love your feedback on this, John.
Yeah.
If you could help, so our goal is to get the right people in the right, bring in the right people, but then figure out what they're great at, what their gifts are, and get them into a seat that allows them to take advantage of that so they feel fulfilled. If we could do that and identify what that looks like, now we're talking about, Gino Wickman calls it rocket fuel.
Yeah. Well, that is understanding what everyone's unique ability is and what really drives every single person. When I talk to companies and managers, I'll say to them, hey, what's their XYZ's driver? Well, everybody you manage, what's their driver? Most people say, I don't know what that means. If you don't know what somebody's drivers are, you can't customize any type of talk to them specifically. And so understanding what their unique ability is, how to grow those strengths within the organization, and knowing what drives them, those two things, in my opinion, go hand in hand. And being able to communicate, and then making sure that they can actually connect with other people. It's not just the right people, it's great people. You have to, if you want to grow a great organization, you have to have great people, and that starts with recruiting. And people should always be recruiting. I always say, like ABR, always be recruiting to find great talent, and don't compromise. It's got to be great. It's got to be great. So we can talk more about that offline, but that is, those are a lot of the pieces. All right, you ready for a quick speed round, Tony?
Bring it.
All right.
No time.
Favorite book and why?
Traction changed my life.
Great book. I had Gino on the show a couple months ago. Great guy. And best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
Is it going to matter in 50 years?
It's a great one. It's a great one. Finish this sentence. One thing every entrepreneur who's stuck in a place they don't want to be and are not fulfilled, the first step they need to take today is?
Figure out what they love.
All right. Define yourself in one word.
Happy.
All right. Finish this sentence. One thing everybody needs to do to finish 2021 strong is?
Plan.
Okay. And fast forward 100 years, what do you want your legacy to be?
Made millions of people's lives better.
I love it. I love it. All right. Couple final thoughts I have. I want to talk, just kind of recap. You're talking about how less is more, and have less stuff, put it in one place, but learn how to use it. You can be so much more productive. 4 hours per person per week. That's huge, right? In your equation, basically for every 10 people, you get one person free. Do what fulfills you. Those are my words. You didn't use that specific word, but fulfillment, success without fulfillment is failure. And Tony Robbins, one of my favorite quotes of all time. And really just make people feel appreciated. I think it is absolutely critical as a business owner, as a manager, whether you have your own company or in the business world, make people feel appreciated. It is so critical. My final thought is a lot of the things we've talked about today are so simple, they're complicated, and it requires continual learning and education from every person who is leading people, part of people. It's all of our responsibility to grow every single day, and we raise everybody up. But if you are a leader in if you own your own company or you're leading people, it should be mandatory. It is our responsibility to make people rise and bring out their best potential. And it takes a lot of courage to do that. And I just want to encourage everybody to really just keep learning. I think, keep learning and keep listening to your instincts like you did, right? With everything, nobody was there pushing you to listen to your instincts, but you had to really tap in and focus on your own inner awareness. And that's where true growth happens. What are what are one of your final thoughts, Tony?
I think to just, you nailed it, John. Of course you did. Good at this stuff, obviously. Take it a step further and appreciate, but really help people find their unique ability.
Yeah.
Get them in a spot to let it flourish. If you can do that with great people, great things happen.
Yeah. As a coach, that's one of the things that fulfills me. Going in and helping people find their own unique ability, helping them figure out other people's unique ability, and then figuring out the path and the tools to actually implement and make that happen. So I love it. Tell everybody who your ideal client is, Tony.
Ooh, our ideal client.
And how they can connect with you.
Sure. So our ideal client, I'll look at my vision traction organizer here. Not that I don't know that, but organizations without IT departments between 40 and 100 computer using people, about heartbeats, not hardware. And then if you do have IT staff, up to 1,000 users of folks that a business that is not a bureaucracy, that values its people and wants to help them have a better experience, better culture, and really enable them to have better lives.
I love it.
If you want to learn more about us, by the way, please come to amcsolutions.com/Teams Tuesday, where you can experience how to upgrade your skills. We do that every Tuesday at 10 a.m. And we love having people there to show them how to use this stuff.
I love it. Tony, I can't thank you enough. Think community, if Tony can help you, please reach out to him. You can also go to my website and get my book and ebook, 100-page workbook, and my book for free at johndwoskin.com. Tony, this was great. Love the resource that you're giving for Tuesdays. Appreciate all your insight, and Think Community, thanks for your time. Tony, as always, thanks so much, brother. Appreciate it.
My honor. Thank you.